People are allowed
Excuse me,
to
I'm
be.
speaking.
I don't have a black trans woman when she's speaking.
Someone get a Xanax for her.
Oh, keep it cute, girl. Keep it real cute. Bodyguards
inappropriate,
outside,
but the
but
rest
keep
of
it
shit
real
isn't.
cute now.
Okay.
It's okay for minors to get top surgery.
Really?
You guys waited on that?
That's pretty vile.
I'm talking. Oh my God.
It's
Get it
obsession.
together.
I have it together.
I am proof that non-binary people exist and that it is a thing.
Hey guys, it's Misha and welcome back to my channel. So I am very excited for today's video because we're going to be reacting to trans conservatives versus trans liberals, a Jubilee video. I saw a few clips of it. I know things got very messy, very heated. One of the trans liberals, Blossom, was threatening Blair. So let's see what this is about. Let's watch it together.
A non-binary person that sometimes has the choice to either go into a men's restroom looking like this. So you can look at me looking like this.
It's just
What is a non-binary person doing there? Trans conservatives and trans liberals.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe you could educate yourself a little bit on that.
I think I
and
could
maybe
educate
then you would figure
I think I
out,
could educate
you know, what
right?
reality is.
Oh,
Sure, there's
It is a safety concern for trans women to share a female restroom.
Definitely can be. If a guy says he's a woman, he can just go into the women's restroom because he identifies as a woman. He doesn't have to have any sort of diagnosis or even present as female.
The video that went viral, I think like just 2 weeks ago, was some like whole man with a boner in the women's restroom. And there's just some poor woman filming it. Like, am I just supposed to like accept that this is here? Once you reach a certain point in your transition where you can actually assimilate within that space and not cause a disruptance, that would probably be the ideal time to start doing that, right?
We're talking about cross-dressers who pretend that they're trans, who pretend that they actually have gender dysphoria, using that as a loophole to go and assault women, perhaps. Throwing on a wig saying, I'm trans, let me in, versus trans women who have this problem, who do their best to present as the opposite sex, and are self-aware. If they really, look at yourself in the mirror, do you look like a woman? Can you pass as a woman? Are you gonna make other women around you uncomfortable?
Ultimately, when we talk about passability, it determines how you get harassed in the bathroom. Because honestly, if you don't look so passable or whatnot, people are going to say, oh, that's a man with a dress on, and then there's going to be discourse. But the reality of it is, honestly, who cares who's trans and who's cis going in the bathroom?
Women, biological women, men care too, but I don't think to the extent that biological women do, because men and women are different. Men have more physical capability of hurting women. Therefore, we don't want a 6-foot-tall man in a skirt being able to come into the bathroom. It's not that hard to understand. All of the panelists who identify as a trans woman are biological men. Some understand that they are biological men and have to keep in mind how they're making biological women feel when they're using women's restroom. Some, though, don't care, prioritize their trans rights over biological women's rights and safety. If you're gonna go through your life trying to become something that you weren't born as, maybe at least listen to some biological women and what it's like being a woman. And maybe then you'll understand why you might not want a man in a skirt being able to use these self-ID laws and just waltz into your bathroom.
Conversation around this man with a boner on or whatever like that, I saw that picture and I thought to myself, that's really a right-wing talking point and conservative propaganda because that's their ideology.
How is it?
What? Okay, so because this is what conservatives are talking about that's happening, and it actually happened, now it's not real? It's a hoax? So if someone killed a transgender woman, can I then say, actually, that was fake? That's a leftist talking point. So it actually didn't happen. That must have been a hoax. No. I will say, no, that happened. That's very unfortunate, that's tragic. So why can't you do the same? Just because this is what the conservatives are warning people about and talking about, that negates the fact that it actually happened and there's proof of that? If it doesn't fit your narrative, it must be a hoax. Crazy.
Conservatives have a basic level understanding of what transness is in the first place.
Really, even the trans conservatives here? They don't know what trans is?
I do not think any of you are basic, but they use you as the baseline to amplifying this propaganda.
How is it propaganda if it's a thing that really happened and was caught on video?
No, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying you said that word. What I was getting out of what you were saying, the one word that was coming to me was passability. This is Blossom saying it.
Okay, well, Blossom isn't a very good listener then, because she just heard something that wasn't said. That's what Blossom heard, okay?
Passability politics is really a thing in our trans community, especially when we come to the debate of restrooms.
Okay, but why do we have to tiptoe around the topic of passability? Yeah, you should try to pass, so you won't make everyone else uncomfortable around you. If you're trying to look like a woman, if you're trying to be a woman, at least understand women and men look very different. You have to put some effort into looking like a woman if you're born a man. Wouldn't you want to do that if you have actual gender dysphoria?
If you have a large chunk of the population of women saying that they are uncomfortable with a certain thing, a good person leans in and listens.
So
They
why are
don't
you
just
not listening
reject
to
it.
other trans women, Blair?
I
think
do
that's-
all day. I am right
so-
now.
That's all we listen to, though. That's the only side that has a voice at this point. Trans women are allowed into the restroom because we're listening to them. But it's gotten to a point where now regular biological men that aren't transgender can go into the restroom and say they're trans. That's how much we're listening to trans women. That now we're listening to anyone that says they're a trans woman, even if they're not.
Trans women also experience violence and also need that
doubt.
protection. And so that's the
No
thing.
doubt.
Right, but who's saying they don't? Okay?
This is a self-preservation issue, right? So if somebody's in the bathroom and they have a boner, that looks bad on all of us. And when people, and when our community's not calling that out and not saying that this is
But
wrong,
I'm just,
No,
to
I
your
get
point,
it.
how many cases has that occurred?
it happens a lot. We see it's happening all the time.
No, I
There-
don't
there's-
know.
So it has to be the entire transgender community for us to focus on it? If we have a group of men assaulting people, should we say, okay, but like who cares? It's not like the majority of men. Let's forget about it.
Being a non-binary person that sometimes has the choice to either go into a men's restroom looking like this, you can look at me looking
No,
like
it's,
this.
it's just interesting. I thought this was a trans debate. That's
Oh,
what I
don't
thought.
even.
Non-binary
That's what I
people
thought.
are
I
people
will
part of the
follow
trans
I will say
umbrella.
that.
No, they don't.
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe you could educate yourself a little bit
I
on
think-
that.
I think I
and
could
maybe then
educate
you would
you.
figure out.
Trans conservatives versus trans liberals debate. So you guys have to be trans to be in it, no?
We're talking about restrooms. As a trans non-binary person, when I go into a place that only has men's and women's restrooms, and I'm dressed like this, my choice to go into the men's restroom at that point puts me in danger.
That's a separate problem. If men want to attack you because you have like a parrot t-shirt on and paperclip earrings, yeah, those men should be arrested. If they like attack you, then yeah, that's illegal. No one is denying that. But that doesn't mean now that you're a woman when you feel like it, because he's non-binary. I'm kind of worried about going into the men's restroom because men could attack me. I'm gonna go into the women's restroom because I feel safer. Well, the women don't feel safer, and that's not a right that you have just because you don't want to go into the men's restroom.
I know I don't pass, so that's a me problem. And I'm not going to turn my fear of being attacked in the men's room into a woman's problem.
Exactly. Thank you.
6 years ago, I used to use women's room. Now I don't, because women have spoke out. They've come out and said, we're not comfortable. There's too many self-ID'd people out there just taking advantage. And I choose to use the men's room to protect them.
I just feel like when this whole topic comes up, like it obviously goes back to like there's dudes like jerking off in the bathroom, and like to me, like when I hear that, I'm like, okay, like but that's not trans women.
Yeah, so this is my question. You can't have someone actually diagnosed with gender dysphoria and doing something illegal? Why? I just don't want us getting to the point where we're saying this person did something bad. They're claiming to be trans, but because they did something bad, that means they're not trans anymore. Like all trans people are angels. No. There are law-abiding trans people, and there are trans criminals. Because they're people. And there are bad people and there are good people within any group, within any community. Right? Don't put them on a pedestal.
Sometimes when we self-identify, some people can take advantage of that. And that is something, unfortunately, that we cannot control. But we have to combat it with facts, with research, and with the information that is presented in front of us.
Okay, so how are you going to combat that with facts and resources while the men are cross-dressing and putting women in danger and taking those photos? What, you're going to offer them like a pamphlet or something? Hey, you're not actually trans. Let me give you some resources to read. What? There have to be laws. These people have to be arrested. That's not allowed in the way.
It seems like we're the ones that's teaching everybody else because we live in a predominant cis world. We're teaching them about us.
I support the transgender military ban.
as probably the only person that served in the military on this entire panel, I think that everybody in the military, as long as you can do your job, you can go in there and nobody really cares. But it is those times when if you can't perform your job, that becomes an issue.
I think it's very discriminatory to keep trans people out of the military. We pay our bills here, we pay our taxes here, we are Americans, we deserve to serve this country as well.
Okay, but if you have certain medical issues or psychological issues, you can't serve your country, even if you pay taxes. People with these anxiety disorders, they pay their taxes.
However, you all did raise some great points about the concern and safety of trans people. And I do agree that something does need to be done about that to protect us. Who's protecting us in the military? Who is?
I mean, if you're even diagnosed with like mild social anxiety, you're not eligible to enter the military. If you have like a crooked left, pinky toe, you're not eligible. So when it comes to keeping America safe, that has priority over anyone's feelings.
Discrimination is discrimination, and I don't think there's
not always a
any other
negative
way
thing,
around.
though.
Right, okay. So when it's the concerning safety of the entire population about who we're allowing to, protect the country, if we have any sort of standards, then okay, screw that, who cares? But you did raise a good point about protecting trans people. It's not all about you.
For the ultimate safety and effectiveness of the military, nothing should come before that.
Blair, have you ever worked directly with trans
Because the second
people?
bomb.
Have you ever worked directly?
I am right now.
No,
We're
directly
surrounded by
in
them.
services in terms of nonprofits and actually getting clientele.
She's not
That's my
grassroots.
entire
She
career.
is not a grassroots
Not
person
grassroots.
because truth be told, a lot of our
What does that
community
even mean?
is in grassroots.
Have you ever had a
Nonprofit
client list of
organizations that are
transgender people that you
trans-led.
actually this is getting them through
I've helped a
services?
lot of trans people in my life,
Trans-led
yes.
organizations that are ran by trans people. I really want to see what you've done for those organizations because I don't see any of y'all on the front line.
Okay, Blair's like the most well-known person here. What do you mean?
I'm on
The front line.
fighting
Like, what are you
against it.
talking about?
I'm
I've
on the front
dedicated.
line.
Hold on. I've dedicated my entire life to, in my own way, and you can disagree with that because we all have our vehicles and our methods
Correct.
towards
Absolutely.
promoting trans acceptance and the ultimate progression of the quality of life of trans people. I've dedicated my entire life to that. From
what are
just
you
like we
physically
mentioned,
doing?
suicide.
What are you physically
doing? That is the point.
Have you ever
Okay,
taken
so
on a
here's the
client
thing.
load? Have you ever
So
had
here's the
someone
thing.
come?
You have to be physically there to make an impact? Okay.
I'm sure you guys are very proud that you can enter a building and work with 25 people at a time. I access millions
Oh,
every
that is
month.
not
babe.
what
That's what I
nonprofit
do.
work is.
You can,
It's really
so
disappointing that you would ever
disconnected from
equate
that.
This is
community
disappointing,
services.
actually.
Disconnected.
It's disappointing that you would
Very
disrespect all of the people that are in community service.
Wait a minute. Blair's disrespecting you? Everyone just attacked Blair and said, "What have you done? You don't do anything. You're not physically there talking to trans people. But you have millions of people watching you. And yeah, you might be helping like those people, but who cares? You're not physically there." And then when Blair says something back, they're like, "That's disgusting. That's actually disgusting. You don't care about what we're doing."
So it wasn't actually a full ban, though. That's what people don't realize. Okay, so
You can still enlist.
Nobody got kicked out of the military. They didn't kick a single person out of the military who came forward and had gender dysphoria. Two, it's more open to serve under the ban than it was under Don't Ask, Don't Tell.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just really hope that the people at the top that you're referring to aren't transphobic, because let's be clear, the isms that are in the military.
Man, we live
that
in
a lot of us
America.
face-
People are allowed
Excuse me,
to
I'm
be.
speaking. Do not interrupt a black trans woman when she's speaking. I am quite sure that my experience would not look the same as y'all's. And if we can't wake that up, then we're really being complicit.
They don't look at your race.
I don't think your
But you,
skin
I feel like Blossom is having conversations with Blossom. Like, who are you fighting right now? Where is this coming from?
Put
black in front of it.
Because this is my experience and this is my reality. First of all,
has nothing
that
to
is
do
so
with your transness,
disrespectful
though.
to tell a person
I'm
of
gonna have an
color, a
aneurysm.
black person, how they should feel. How dare you sit up there
Okay,
and
well,
say
no,
this?
it's disrespectful.
What? I'm sorry. I know people say this all the time. Pretend that Blossom was white and let's say Blair was a black woman, and Blossom was telling Blair, "You do not interrupt a white woman." How is this okay? What does your race have anything to do with? Because you're black and because you're trans, no one can ever interrupt you again. How dare you look a black trans woman in the eye? You should look down when you're talking to a black trans woman. Do not make eye contact with me, peasant. I mean, this is insane. This just shows the narcissism here. It's unbelievable. Wow.
Sorry, hold on, just
You
a second.
screamed at him, and you
I did not scream at
yes,
this
you
point.
did.
No,
you're being
coming-
Oh my God! Someone get a Xanax for her.
Oh, keep it cute, girl. Keep it real cute.
Oh,
The
that's
bodyguard's
inappropriate,
outside,
but the rest
keep
of
it
shit
real
isn't.
cute,
Okay.
ma'am.
Narcissistic and violent. Typical of these, woke extremists.
That's
Bodyguard's
inappropriate,
outside,
but the rest
keep
of
it
shit
real
isn't.
cute,
Okay.
ma'am.
This reminds me of that Ben Shapiro clip where he was talking to a trans woman and the trans woman threatened Ben Shapiro.
So you don't know what you're talking about. You're not educated on
Would you guys
genetics.
like to discuss the genetics? Or
Well,
what
no.
are your genetics?
So I'd stay away from the genetics and back to the brain scans.
You cut that out now, or you'll go home in an ambulance.
Yeah, that seems mildly inappropriate for a political discussion.
Bodyguard's outside.
This is crazy. Same person that's saying keep it cute. Keep it cute. Was that cute?
All they care is that they can count on the person to the left and right of them. And again, like I said before, in the very beginning, if you can't deploy and you can't go do your job, then there's really not a big reason for you to be there.
There is a reason though, to make the trans people feel good. That's what all of this is about.
It's okay for minors to get top surgery.
Really?
You guys waited on that?
That's pretty vile.
I feel like the vibe is like
You feel like the vibe is like, why did they all walk forward?
I was homeless at 16, paying my own rent, and left my home at 16 and had to live my life as an adult very early. So I was able to make those decisions for myself, but I think it's weird that others can't seem to see that I could make a medical decision for myself when I had to physically take care of myself. And I look at some of these younger kids, and there's a sense of jealousy there and excitement for them at the same time.
But you could have went back to high school. You can't reattach the body part that you cut off at 16. And even if you could, there's going to be so many How could you make this comparison?
But see, the thing is, though, some adults don't even understand what they want to do.
Exactly.
So, that's
So how
the
can a
kind of
child?
But
But
see,
I
children,
wanna touch
wait a
on
minute,
one
let's
thing.
not
Minute.
underestimate the power of these kids today, okay? They are very much more educated because they have much more resources and access than we did coming up.
Should now a plastic surgeon give them every plastic surgery because they had that difficult experience and they're, let's say, more mature? What is this starting to sound like? You're really mature for a kid. You know what you're doing. You can consent. I'm just saying, I don't like the sound of this.
I don't understand this obsession with
Obsession.
other people's children.
It's about caring about kids.
I'm talking. Oh my God.
It's
Get it
obsession.
together.
I have it together.
But you're obsessed with children being able to chop off their body parts. And we're obsessed with not allowing children to chop off their body parts. Why don't you care? Initially, that was the reason why I started talking about the trans debate in general. Because now children are involved. And many people never thought this would happen, but it is. So that's why I care very much, yes.
The obsession with the conservatives about other people's kids. If it is your child, it is your choice what you do with your kid.
So if someone wants to abuse their child, it's their right because that's their kid? Again, where's the logic? Not only that, they're saying parental rights, right? Okay, so then why are teachers now allowed to keep that information from the parent when a child is transitioning socially at school and using a different name, changing clothes? The teachers are providing clothes for the children, having private conversations with the teachers about their gender identity and their sexuality. And they are now allowed to legally keep that from the parent. What happened to parental rights then? So only when it fits your narrative, huh? Only when the kids are allowed to chop off their body parts, let the parents do it. That's their child.
Non-binary should not be considered under the trans umbrella.
Let's go, girl.
I think that the concept of a transgender umbrella is inherently an issue. You're appropriating a medical condition. That's what you're really doing.
I exist. I am proof that non-binary people exist and that it is a thing. And because I'm sitting right here in front of all of you, I'm a real person. This is my experience, just as yours is a trans experience.
There are trans people here who understand that there are females and there are males, right? And if you have gender dysphoria, you wish you were born the opposite sex. You don't feel right in your body. It's tragic, it really is. And so you take steps to present as the opposite sex. Fair enough. Now, whether you pass or you don't pass, that's a separate issue. But then there are trans people who say men and women, that's actually not a thing. There's no such thing. Okay? Because I say I'm neither, I'm now neither. Just me sitting here proves to you that non-binary people exist. Okay. If I say, guys, I'm a cappuccino. I'm proving my existence to you right now because I just said so and I'm here. I'm physically here. Oh, non-binary people aren't real? I guess I'm not real. Ha ha ha. What kind of argument is that? How is that an argument? You're an idiot because you don't see that I'm right here in front of you. Like I said, I could say that I'm a cappuccino. Doesn't mean I'm actually a cappuccino. Right? Like, yeah, you're proving that delusional people exist. You're proving that deeply confused individuals exist. Yes. I don't care how you identify. But if you're gonna come to this debate about trans people, claiming you're trans, saying it's offensive to say that you're a man because you're obviously a man, that's when I have an issue with it. And everyone should, because you can't police other people's language to make yourself feel good, even though what you're saying makes no sense.
You can have dysphoria without having to be dysphoric about your sex parts.
But what is your
you can have
dysphoria?
dysphoria
What is
about
your
anything.
dysphoria?
Straight cis women have dysphoria about their breast and they get breast augmentation.
It's not dysphoria.
That doesn't mean that I'm not dysphoric about certain things. That doesn't mean that. And you don't know my life. You're not in my life.
Well, that's why I
daily.
But what you're describing is body dysmorphia, not body dysphoria. How do I, a cisgender woman, know more about this sort of terminology than you? a magical unicorn, rainbow, they, them.
Enjoyed this debate for what it was. You know, it was quite ugly at certain points, and I wish that it was all trans people on the panel because that would have been more appropriate and more fitting.
Wow. You're so offensive. You're an offensive person, human being. Yeah.
Okay.
Just so
Well,
you know.
I find a lot of things over here offensive as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're disgusting.
And I have to, trust me, the feeling is more than mutual.
All I have to say to the general public is start thinking of reasons why you supported doing this to kids.
And that's the end of the video. I would love to hear what you thought about this debate, so make sure you comment below. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.